Ladies and gentlemen, Councillor Peters is out, but in the meantime, I'd like to have a motion to move back into open session. Councillor Andrews, seconded by Deputy Mayor McIntosh. All in favor? Okay, we're now back in open. So let's give Grant one more minute here to get back, and then we'll sing our national anthem. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, stand if you may, if you can, I'm sorry. We're going to sing our national anthem. Thank you. Oh, can native land, true patriot love, in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Okay, we'll start with item number 8 on our agenda. May we have a motion to approve the minutes of October 7th, regular and closed? Councillor Andrews, seconded by Councillor Post. All in favor? Okay, moving right on to our presentations. Tonight we have 2 presentations. We're starting off with number 9.1. We have Mr. Bill Ray, the Chair of the Orangeville Library Board. Mr. Ray. Welcome.
Thank you. So, Your Worship, Mayor Brown, members of council, and other guests, my name is Bill Ray, and I had the pleasure of being the chair of the Orangeville Public Library. In addition to myself, I want to acknowledge this evening the other board members. Councillor Lisa Post, who is vice chair of the board, Councillor Grant Peters, and residents Patrick Neely, who's in attendance here this evening, Shelley Berkrand, Sherry Marks, and Ben McDonald. It is this board that collectively provides the oversight and the governance for the Orangeville Public Library. And also here this evening with me is Darla Fraser, who's the CEO of the Public Library, and one other member of staff who will introduce shortly. Collectively, the board and staff, we want to thank Orangeville Council for its ongoing and continuing support. So why are we here tonight? We're here for 2 reasons. The first is that this week is the Ontario Public Library Week as declared by the Orangeville Libraries Association. So during this week, libraries and library partners across the province are raising awareness about the valuable roles that libraries play in their communities. Yesterday, local MPP Sylvia Jones was on hand as the county kicked off Public Library Week at the Shelburne Library, and all 4 library systems in our riding were in attendance. As part of the increasing awareness of the library, we want to remind Council of our mission statement of the Orangeville Public Library. Fostering a love of literacy and a lifelong learning, a visit will get you thinking. So for this week, and this week only, a visit to the library will not only get you thinking, but you'll also get one of the handbags that I handed out to you earlier this evening. That's available to you and all the members of the public that come into the library this week. So this week and this week only. Do we have one? Anyways, I handed them all out to you earlier. Yes, 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 perfect. So also in fulfilling our mission, the library is not just a place to borrow books. It offers much, much more, working with our numerous community partners, and it's become the cultural hub of our community. It offers many terrific programs, a vast variety of children's programs throughout the year, tech help and other programs designed to assist the growing number of seniors in our community, and home delivery services for those who desire the use of the library, but for whatever reason can't get out of their own home to visit the library in person. This brings me to the second reason that we're here tonight. The second reason we're here is the exciting announcement, at least we're very excited about it, to announce the launch of our new digital app for the library. Unfortunately, I can't show it to you in a live environment, but we can give you a glimpse into how it works, and hopefully by tomorrow, with any degree of luck, you'll be able to download it yourself in the Apple Store or wherever your device is that you get your apps from. So here, to provide a further explanation, is Kim Carson, who's our collection and systems librarian for the Orangeville Public Library, and she's going to give you a little bit more information about it.
Thank you, Bill. In addition to our gratitude to council, in addition to our gratitude to council for your support, on behalf of Darla and the rest of the staff, we would like to thank you and the board for your governance and leadership. Mr. Mayor and councilors, I am so excited to share with you tonight a sneak peek of the Orangeville Public Library app. Available soon at both Android and Apple stores, it allows users to manage all of their library business on their smartphone or tablet, or anywhere they have access to the internet. While you could always use our website on your device, the app is easy to navigate with larger print and mobile-ready design. You can search our collection and place holds, both on print and digital materials, renew items and get notifications, check library hours, or find programs to attend. Links to all of our social media channels and to our online services make it easy to stay in touch with us and to learn a new skill. But the app is even better, and it can do more. Now an individual can manage a group of accounts all in one place. No more signing in to each account on the website. You can store your family library cards all on your phone, so you don't have to juggle who has which card. Using the app, you can scan an ISBN barcode with your phone's camera to search the library's collection. So when you're in a bookstore trying to decide which book to buy, or a friend recommends an author, you can check the library fast. So whether you find yourself waiting for a rescheduled flight at the airport or taking advantage of an unexpected afternoon off, you can bring the library with you wherever you go. Thank you for your time tonight, and when you get a chance to download the app, please let us know how you like it.
Do you have any questions?
Exciting news. Councillor Andrews.
There we go. Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Chair Mr. Ray, and also Ms. Carson, and also the Chief Librarian, Ms. Fraser, and also our two members of council who are involved with the board. Brilliant idea. Absolutely brilliant, timely. Again, as a frequent user of the library in many different ways, I think what this is going to do is give an opportunity for those that may have been on the fringe, who may not found the time, but now they have access to the library in a much different way. And again, kudos to you. I think that this is going to provide an opportunity for maybe increased participation, but in a slightly different way. And again, thank you for all that you do in our community too.
Deputy Mayor McIntosh.
Thank you. Thank you. I echo those sentiments to the both of you. It was very good. I'm just curious, what's the name of this new app?
It's actually just called the Orangeville Library app.
Oh,
Not very exciting, but you can find it easily that way. So
thank you very much.
And I think the symbol that's on our letterhead is the way you'll recognize it as well when you're in the App Store. Yeah.
Very good. That's excellent. So lots of exciting things happening on the communication front of the town right now. Thank you for being one of the first out of the gate with some new technology for us. I think it's awesome. So thank you very much. Thank you. Any other comments from councilors? No. Thank you for your time today. Thank you. Okay, our second presentation is Janet Elliot with Open Space Solutions. She's going to fill us in about plans for Every Kids Park. Janet, welcome.
Council, thanks for having me today. Ray has asked me to come and just give a brief overview of Harvey Curry, home of Every Kids Park. I thought we'd do a quick overview of some of the features that are in the park and how it's coming along. The first slide there, share the experience of play with someone and learn about life, is really important. And I think in our design, we've tried to be in keeping with what the history of that park is and the efforts that went in 19 years ago to make it every kid's park. Which is the forward button here? Page down. Which? Okay. So after we met with the community on 2 occasions, and we met with the town and Ray and Charles, we started to set some goals and some visions for the park. Our first one, of course, was to keep it and create a very accessible park that was inclusive. And the park was going to be able to be used by all ages and all abilities. We wanted to make sure we had a defined area for the junior kids, 18 months to 5 years, as well as create a senior area. Some of the feedback that came back from the community meeting is we really wanted to have some equipment that was more suitable for the older kids. It was felt that the current park wasn't meeting the needs of the older kids from 9 years old to 12 years old. So it became one of our goals to make sure that we would focus on that age group and make sure that we have something exciting for them to play with. It came through loud and clear. They wanted it to be bright in appearance, and they wanted it to be a destination park. In talking to the town, it was really critical to have components that may not be seen anywhere else in the town or surrounding area and have a very unique feel to it, with it being a destination park, meaning that the community would be a gathering place and that it would create a wow factor. Some of the products that we're going to show you tonight became a wow factor in the community. There was a couple that hands down, as community members came into the park where we hosted the event, were saying, yes, we want that, that's what we want. And of course, safety is a given with the playgrounds and the standards that are set. So all of the equipment that's going to be installed in the park is CSA compliant. Not only that, it meets the current Annex H, which was developed for accessibility and inclusion. We meet that. Also AODA, living in Ontario, we have to make sure we have compliance with that, which it is. But also all of our equipment is IPMA certified, which is the international manufacturer's standard. So all of the equipment that's going into every kid's park is at the highest standard available. It's hard to see on here. You might be able to see it on your screens. This is just a general overview, and the park's sort of split into those 3 hubs. You'll see to your right would be the senior area, the left the junior, which is very similar to how it is now, and the splash pad in the area. The new addition from the old park is that central shelter that's going to be located in the hub and create that shade in between all 3 areas. Off to the bottom corner, we have the not so glorious stuff, the precast buildings to house the mechanical, the tank, and all of the mechanical works in that area. The pathway will continue to be the same. So this is the splash pad. It's 360 square meters in size, which is larger than was currently there. For all the Imperial Brains, 3875 square feet. The pad itself boasts 14 above ground features, 13 ground sprays, 2 simulated puddles. It's got a recirculation system, and everything, as I said, will be housed in a precast building. You'll also notice we're enhancing it with some colored concrete in the pattern in the ground. The dominant feature here, which you'll see a photo of next, is the Ladybug Soaker. The Ladybug Soaker stands over 20 feet high, dumps 30 gallons, disperses on a plate, and everybody has a great time. It's going to be the destination feature that brings people back. In our community consults, the kids were just so happy that there was going to be a large dump bucket at the splash pad. We've got sprinkled in some domestic things to Canada. We've got the monarch butterfly, the corn poppy representing the veterans. We've got the blue bottle flowers, so all sort of domestic flowers to Canada, as well as the classics with the water rose and the funbrella and puddles. So there's a different view of the toddler area. Here's some of the features in real life. So you'll see the Ladybug Soaker there. It splashes front, back, and everywhere. The top is the funbrella, which is the cone of silence, which a lot of the kids like. The bottom, which is a new feature that you won't see around very often, is puddles, and it's a simulated puddle. When the kids jump on it, the water splashes out. So it's a great feature that's going to be there. There's some of the domestic flowers, the corn poppy, the blue bottle, monarch. We've also included some surf stones that are adding some dimension to a splash pad. Typically, they're all flat. We've got some rocks there that will be great seating. And of course, we have the cannons for the older guys and the little ground sprays for the little ones. When it comes to the junior playground, it's going to be 385 square meters or 4,155 square feet. You'll see in the bottom corner there, we're labeling the playground as Every Kid's Park with the frog there. The playground itself boasts 3 slides, some climbers. It's got ramp access to the first. One of the things that came out in the community meeting is that a lot of the kids, younger kid parents say they always have to go over to the senior area because there's monkey bars and there's none on the junior. So you'll notice on this structure for juniors, we put monkey bars. However, if you're over 8 years old, your feet will be dragging. So it's lowered down for the little kids so that they'll be able to go across. We've also included some musical instruments, bongos, xylophones, wheelchair accessible gear panels, some of these things that will bring all different types of sensory play to the park. You'll see a 4-way teeter-totter there where parents can actually ride on the teeter-totter with their kids. Kids can stand in the middle. If they have low gross body muscle skills, they can lie on the middle of the teeter-totter, so it's a very inclusive piece. We've got down the bottom some spinners, a Ladybug spring rider to match the Ladybug Soaker, and some creative panels there with games and rain sticks and musical items. Each area is going to have its own set of swings, so we'll be increasing the number of swings that are available there right now. In the senior wing, we'll be having 2 belt swings and a basket swing, and if any of you are familiar with the basket swing, it's a great ride with 4 or 5 friends. Caregivers can go on with their children. In the toddler area, we're going to have a 2-bay, and it's undecided right now. We're either going to be 2 tots, 2 accessibles, or 1 tot, 1 accessible, and 1 mother and child, father and child, caregiver and child seat. The senior area is going to be pretty exciting. This is the Explorer Dome. I'm going to show you an actual photo of it, but this was picked 95% of the time from the community. We had 12 and 14-year-olds coming by saying they can hardly wait till it gets in. The bottom multi-spinner there is also 5 kids can ride on it while they're spinning. And we still have kept some of the overhead monkey bars and rocks that were requested from the community. So there's an actual physical Explorer Dome. It's about 15 feet high in the center and spans about 37 feet. It's got 10-inch ropes all over, cabling, gliders, seats to sit on inside of it. This product, the splash pad and the junior area are all Canadian-made products. This dome is coming from Germany. It's a company out of the Czech, but manufacture in Berlin. And there's not many of them across the province. So it's one of those products the kids from Orangeville won't have been exposed to. The whole philosophy behind this is a wow factor, a stay factor, but also the developmental properties that come with this are incredible. A real easy, transparent piece to supervise, but also we're getting those kids exercising and the older kids playing. And the multi-spinner at the bottom there, 5 kids, it spins like crazy, and it'll be a great day on opening day to see a few of you riding in that. Shade and seating were a very highly sought after item from the community. So we have put in a 20 by 20 foot shelter, and if you've driven by the park lately, it went in last week. It looks quite big standing there alone by itself, but we've got under the shelter, we'll have 3 picnic tables, 2 accessible and then a non-accessible one. Basically a 4x4 with 2 seats on each side. A stroller can pull up or a wheelchair user can use those tables. We've also included the Every Kid's Park Buddy Bench. And this is a designed bench for Every Kid's Park. You'll see the logo on it. And basically, buddy benches are to promote kids playing together. So if a child comes to the park alone and they sit on the buddy bench, it's a known fact that somebody should come ask them to play. So we felt it made a very inclusive feel to the park. So we have 3 of those, one by the senior, one by the junior, and one by the splash pad, as well as benches with armrests in the bottom corner. We have an additional 4 of those. 19 new trees will be planted around the area, and there's 90 linear meters of armor stone seating. So there's going to be plenty of seating and shade available. Colors. You know, the colors just kind of came to us. I don't know from where. However, the orange, green, and blue seem to work well together. And we mixed in a little bit of the stainless steel and the grays. So it'll have a very, the senior area has a little bit more of an urban feel, and then a very playful feel for the junior area. And I don't know, the colors feel a little bit like home, so I think everybody will embrace the bright colors. So where are we at right now? Construction's underway. I know I was supposed to speak at the October 7th. At that time, we had done demolition. Now demolition's done, all the drain layers are in, all the drain pipes are connected. We've put the armor stone in around the junior area. The shelter is up. The concrete got poured today under the shelter. Tomorrow is a big day. All of the playground equipment will be arriving tomorrow. So we'll be installing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday playground equipment, and then we'll be hitting the splash pad. Our goal is to get as much done by December 31st as possible, and we're hoping May is a good month. In May, the surfacing will go in, rubber surfacing on the junior side, and artificial turf on the senior side, which will also give a lot more different textures for our inclusive and accessibility piece of the program. So I think right now, I'm not going to talk too soon, but we have a completion date of June 26th. I have a feeling we'll be before that, but the big day would be to have it ready for July 1st. And I'll field any questions if there's any.
That's amazing. Councillor Peters.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And through you, thank you very much for the presentation. I think the community is deserving of the refresh here, and it's very exciting. My question is actually for Mr. Osmond, through you. Looking at the benches and the seating piece, is the town looking at sponsorship opportunities for those? Has there been talk about how to get the community involved in any sort of recognition piece with elements like the benches?
Through your worship to Councillor Grant, we didn't look at the naming of benches or sponsoring of benches in that particular site, but it could be included in the project once we get the project on the ground. And other parks as well is one of the things we did look at, naming rights and also putting plaques in memory of loved ones and so on. So it is something we're looking at in the new year.
Very good. Councillors, any other questions? Thank you. It's exciting. Thank you for your presentation. Right. Okay. We'll see you soon. Thanks. Okay. Moving along. Staff reports. Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. So we have a recommendation that the report CPSCL 2019-018 be received. May I have a motion to receive? Councillor Andrews, seconded by Councillor Taylor. All in favor? Thank you. Any questions on that? I guess I should ask that before we voted, but yes, Councillor Taylor. There you go. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no questions. I just like to say, I mean, there's obviously some urgency behind that, so we need to get that in and make sure that we're part of what everybody else is doing, right? So it's a significant piece of what we're trying to do as a municipality and here in Ontario. So no news, just glad that everybody was in favor of it and we're moving forward.
Yeah, great. Okay, 11.2, again, another recommendation that report CPSCL 2019-017, Delegation of Authority regarding the Municipal Freedom of Information Protection of Privacy Act be received. May I have a motion to that? Councillor Peters, seconded by Councillor Andrews. Any further discussion on that? All in favor? Thank you. 11.3, Water Softener Rebate Program. A report ISENV 2019-015 regarding water softener rebate program be received. Deputy Mayor McIntosh wishes to speak to this, sir.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I agree it's a great idea. I see under cost, you put there was no cost. I agree there's no cost now. What is your estimate? What kind of money are we talking that you're going to need for this program?
Mr. Jones.
Your Worship, I'd like to defer the question to Ms. McGinnity, please.
Ms. McGinnity.
Through you, Your Worship, we will be putting forward a budget item for this as part of the 2020 budget for Council's consideration, and we have estimated it at this point approximately 100. We're hoping we would maybe see about 100 people come forward with applications for a rebate at approximately $250 a rebate. So we're looking at about $25,000 a year.
Thank you.
Can you also, Ms. McGinnity, just refresh us on what the rebate program will do and how water is saved through these new water softeners?
Certainly, Your Worship. So old technology water softeners are typically based on a time-based recharge. So in order for the water softener to work effectively, they need to recharge the resin, in which removes the hardness from the water on a daily basis is what they're typically programmed at, sometimes as few as once a week. But more current water softener technology delays the recharge until sufficient flow has passed through so that it isn't recharging unless it needs to. So that can reduce the recharge rate significantly, so people not using a lot of water, softened water in their homes, could end up with recharge rates as frequently or as infrequently as maybe twice a month. Each particular recharge event can result in approximately 400 to 600 liters of water being passed through the water softener. In addition, it requires addition of salt, which is a concern to us, not from a drinking water perspective, but also from a natural environment perspective. All the salt that's used in the water softening process is discharged to our sanitary sewer system and goes down into the Credit River, which is, and we've actually seen evidence of the online monitoring stations downstream of our wastewater treatment plant. You can see the daily fluctuation of salt concentration in the water, sodium concentrations, and you see it peaking and ebbing and peaking with the, I guess, timed with the recharge of all the water softeners.
Interesting. Okay, great. Thank you very much, Councillor Peters.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, excellent program. I was very excited to see it come through to us. Looking forward to more details when it comes in the next budget. I think this also lines up with principles in the SNAP, the Sustainable Neighborhood Action Plan, because it's not only water saving, but it's also looking at the discharge elements. So thank you for bringing that forward. One question I had, and you don't have the details of the program yet, but whenever a program like this or any other sort of grant or opportunity for the public comes about, there's often those that have just missed it, by some degree. Is staff considering any sort of retroactive applicability of the program, say 12 months, if someone had, the proper paperwork to demonstrate it? Because, people that have made that investment, I think, deserve to be rewarded, and that's what the rebate's for. So I didn't know if that had been considered or what opportunities there might be there.
Ms. McGinnity.
Through Your Worship. That isn't something we have considered at this point. Similar to our toilet rebate program, we would expect an inspection to take place to verify that an old water softener had actually been removed from the facility, the house, and a new water softener installed as part of the process. So it would be difficult for us to verify that going back in time, even if they had proof of purchase of a new water softener. It's something we could consider if that's council's direction, but at this time, that isn't something that we had considered.
Okay, let's go to Councillor Andrews and then back to Councillor Peters.
Thank you very much, Your Worship, and Ms. McGinty, thank you very much for the detailed report. And again, I know that Mr. Jones previously referenced something about the salt impact in our community, and again, I thank you for that information. As Councillor Peters had mentioned about those that may consider something like this, our community may be watching. What would be the average cost for one of the new units? Again, your research has been certainly detailed in this report, but again, for those that might be considering something like this, what would be the average cost for a new water softener that follows this particular standard?
Ms. McGinnity.
Through Your Worship. I don't want to give exact prices, but ballpark range, I think the newer technology of water softener that still uses salt should be less than $1,000 to install. However, you're going to have the ongoing maintenance costs of purchasing and replenishing the salt. The alternative technology that does not require salt is more expensive. I would expect it to be more in the $1,500 to $1,800 range. Okay. But you will not have that ongoing maintenance cost. I think the resin in that type of technology, as far as my research, suggests it should last 4 to 5 years before it would need to be replaced. Okay, I do have a second question. And if I was hearing you correctly, you had mentioned that, with the uptake on this, you're projecting possibly about 100 users that might end up applying during a calendar year. Is that correct? Through your worship. Yes, that's what we're hoping. That's what we've, in terms of what we would be proposing to council and what our budget item is based on, is that we could limit it to 100 users or applicants per year, or we could make it unlimited. But in terms of if we were to stick within the $25,000 budget that we proposed, it would have to be on a first come, first served basis and cut it off at 100
Okay.
applicants.
I don't know if this would be out of place, but are members of council eligible for the rebate?
Ms. McGinnity.
I would absolutely
Okay.
say you are. If
standing
you're a
in line.
resident of Orangeville,
I am.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay. Counselor Peters.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry to return to the topic, but you mentioned in the previous note about a replacement. So is this strictly a replacement program, or could a household without a water softener who implements one and goes straight to the new technology also be eligible?
Ms. McGinnity.
Through your worship, to Councillor Peters, yes, we are targeting homeowners that have existing water softeners. Homes that do not have a water softener installed are not currently using that extra water or adding that salt to the environment. So it's really no reason for us to provide them a rebate for installing a brand new piece of equipment. We are targeting those with existing older style units.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Okay, any other questions? No? Okay, very good. So we need a motion, I guess, to receive this. Councillor Andrews, seconded by Councillor Post. All in favor? Thank you. 11.4, recommendation that terms of reference for the Orangeville Accessibility and Seniors Advisory Committee be amended to include in its mandate that the committee also may also direct or monitor volunteer community working groups participating in specific projects or initiatives included in its work plan. May I have a motion? Councillor Taylor, seconded by Councillor Peters. Any discussion? No. All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Mr.
So
Taylor.
excited to speak, I forgot to press the button. I'm just wondering if we could just get a little bit of a summary from this, from Councillor Post, just a very tight summary of what exactly we're doing here.
Councillor Post.
Absolutely. This comes about because at one of our recent Accessibility and Seniors Advisory Committee meetings, a recommendation was made that we do an Abilities Expo. So it'll be similar to a home show, but we'll partner with community partners and companies who sell things to make homes more accessible and age-friendly and help with mobility. The problem with our terms of reference right now is that we wanted to strike a subcommittee to plan that event and to put it all together, and we had some volunteers from the community who are not members of the current committee structure who wanted to give their expertise and lend it to the committee to be able to successfully come up with this Abilities Expo. Under the current terms of reference, it wouldn't allow those volunteers. We would have to say no, they couldn't be a part of it because they weren't official committee members. With this change to the terms of reference, it'll work very similar to how Sustainable Orangeville does when it comes to Communities in Bloom and Earth Week projects, where volunteers are allowed to take part in any of those things that fall into the initiatives that align with the work plan. So that's what these terms of reference would do and make us not turn away willing volunteers who want to help us put this Abilities Expo together.
Councillor Andrews.
I just wanted to, through your worship, compliment Councillor Post. I think the Abilities Expo is a great idea. I think there's been an absence of opportunities for our wonderful seniors population to engage. You know, we do have activities, but something of this magnitude will certainly help those that are even on the fringe of maybe from the age range we're talking about. But I really think it's a great idea in the subcommittee, and I would love to be a part in some way if there is an opportunity to participate. I will be there. Thank you.
Very good. Okay, any further comment? Okay, we already had a motion there, so we're going to vote. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, 11.5. This is for council. This is a report CPF TF 2019-27 dated October 22nd, 2019. It's an application for property tax relief that be received, and that council take no action, and that staff bring forward a report bylaw to delegate authority to the Assessment Review Board to exercise powers and functions of council with regard to applications made under Section 357(1)(d)(1). May I have a motion to accept this? Councillor Post, seconded by Deputy Mayor McIntosh. Any further discussion? Call the vote. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, 11.6. New businesses in Orangeville. This is a recommendation that the report CMS EDC 2019-012 regarding new business in Orangeville be received. Councillor Andrews.
Thank you, and again, it's an evening of thank yous to staff who've presented this information and the detail that helps us to make a decision and vote on it. As the chair of BDAC, which is the Business Economic Development Advisory Committee, I'm so pleased to see the investment that people have made in our community. And when you have a timeline here of July 2019 to September 30th, the number of businesses that have allocated considerable resources to make a difference in our community, this is very good news. And again, I just wanted to thank those that are involved with this report, but also thank those that have taken the time to do the research, business plan, and commit to our community, because this ends up echoing to potential other businesses who may consider coming to this community as well.
Thank you, Councillor Andrews. Okay, so I guess we need a motion here. Councillor Andrews? Yes. Seconded by Deputy Mayor McIntosh. Any further discussion? No. Okay, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Okay, that's been received. And then 11.7, this is a discussion regarding investing in Canada infrastructure program, community culture and recreation stream report. Mr. Osmond.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just want to provide a couple of brief comments. First of all, the program was announced a few weeks ago, and just for a brief overview of the program, the federal government and provincial government and municipalities are going to partner on this program to invest in our case, recreation infrastructure. Recreation culture infrastructure. And what we're doing right now for council's information is putting together a very detailed and comprehensive report on some of the options we may have available to us going forward. Given that this is a November 12th deadline, we're fast tracking a lot of our work around it. In doing that, I wanted a little bit more time to do a bit of due diligence on some of the layouts that would be impacting some of the footprints, if you would, of facilities that would be involved in this particular case. And that being said, I'd like to have a bit more time. The really positive thing about this is that there's an opportunity to leverage funds when you have a federal government putting in 40% and a province putting in 33%. The investment for the municipality would be around 26.67%. And that kind of a dollar value for a municipality is quite exciting. So we want to make sure we get everything we can get in there that would fit this particular criteria. And in doing all the work onto it, we found that we need to do a little bit more work in terms of what the impact would be on some of the infrastructure. Before I put it before council, I'd like to have another few days to finalize it and bring it back next Monday night if possible.
Very good, sir. Thank you. Okay, going on to item 12, we have minutes of the following boards: the Committee of Adjustment, Heritage Orangeville, Orangeville Accessibility and Seniors Advisory Committee, and Sustainable Orangeville. Councillor Andrews.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. This is just a question that's being posed to Councillor Peters, as he is the member of council on the Sustainable Orangeville Committee. And if you could just provide some clarification, this is pertaining to the register as a B city. And again, for members of our public who may also have some curiosity, I do. So, thank you.
Councillor Peters.
Certainly. Thank you, Councillor Andrews, for the question. So we had a delegation. 2 people came to speak about the benefits of pollinators and having areas within the municipality that serve and benefit the pollinator population as they relate to agriculture and horticulture and that sort of thing. So a bee city is sort of a designation that a municipality can undergo. I would have to check the numbers. I believe Stratford is the closest in our geography that has it, and they were perhaps the fifth or sixth in the province. I might be wrong on that, but fairly recently. So it's a fairly new concept, but it involves a brief application process and some community outreach, and you can go as far as, you know, looking at pollinator gardens and expanding on the infrastructure. But in general, it's a bit of a set of guidelines to promote pollinators and their habitats within urban centers. And so this was a delegation from 2 volunteers actually at the Mono Pollinator Garden who have seen the benefits of that piece of land over the last year or so. So it was an interesting concept and something that we're looking into in terms of capability and relevance to the town.
Councillor Peters, we've had some recent discussions about naturalized areas in town. So is that part of this bee city or pollinator areas?
I couldn't speak to the details. I haven't got into those just yet. I wasn't actually at this meeting, but I met with the 2 people that were delegations at the time. At this point, I think it's a fairly high-level self-reporting checklist that the municipality would do, but it could have implications on policy and relating to the SNAP in terms of how areas are maintained, what sort of plantings are beneficial to those populations, things like that. So the breadth of which we haven't seen yet in terms of getting the application underway, but I would imagine that would come up in conversation.
Okay, thank you. So councillors, we have board minutes from 4 boards here. Any further discussion? We need a motion to receive these minutes. Councillor Andrews, seconded by Deputy Mayor McIntosh. All in favor? Okay. Number 13, question period. Anybody from the audience who wishes to ask questions tonight? Seeing none, we have correspondence. We have a letter from the Township of Amaranth regarding forced amalgamation, and we have a recommendation that this correspondence be received. May I have a motion? Councillor Taylor, seconded by Councillor Post. All in favor? Okay, number 15, this is a notice of motion given prior to the meeting regarding crosswalks. I'll speak to this as I made this motion. There was some chatter on social media back 4 to 6 weeks ago about safety concerns at Crosswalk. It seemed to have a lot of traction. A number of people weighed in that they felt that we needed to look at some additional safety features. Following that meeting, there was a meeting at the Orangeville Police Headquarters with Chief Kalinsky and a couple of other members. I think Scott Davis was there as well, Constable Davis, and Debbie Sheardown, who is Crosswalk Supervisor for the town of Orangeville. Following, and in that meeting, we threw around a few ideas. Following that, I've had a further discussion with Mr. Jones here, and now this would be to have town staff look at things like audio signals at crosswalks, more pronounced painting at crosswalks, and perhaps some other visual features like pylons or something like that, which would notify drivers that this is an area of caution. So this is, you know, and then the second part of this, we had this discussion, I think just prior to the Pride Month in 2019, about maybe putting a rainbow crosswalk in the downtown area. So I decided to add this on to this motion for town staff to look at this and hopefully come back maybe, you know, in January with some sort of a report that we can look at. So if we did want to move ahead with a crosswalk, a rainbow crosswalk in the downtown core, that we would have time to implement that prior to Pride Day in June. So that's basically it. Councillor Taylor.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I'm certainly in favor of anything that makes our town a safer place, and I thank you for bringing this forward. I guess just 2 things. One, public service announcement that we, that we talked about last week is there's an opportunity for some businesses to sponsor some of this. There are some businesses that are looking to do this. So I would just ask staff, you know, if there is an opportunity for the whistles, instead of it being on the taxpayers, there's some businesses in town that would like to take part in that. And then the second piece is, and I'd mentioned it previously when you brought this forward, it's, to me, crosswalks are close to school locations. And as a friendly amendment, I would just ask that we also ask staff to work with our local school board on some sort of arrangement about cars and drop-offs for kids. And I know there's an initiative that I talked to Mr. Osmond about, but I feel like it's moving very slow. I would challenge any of us to take some time, and Island Lake Public School comes to mind, Parkinson is the other. Just sit there for the 15 minutes where it's pick up and drop off, and it's really quite unnerving. So, you know, I guess my friendly amendment would be is one more bullet that just says, hey, can we add some sort of dialogue or investigation with our trustee or Board of Education to make our schools safer for those two times? It's situation critical in my estimation. So I'd hope you consider something like that.
I support that friendly amendment, sir. Councillor Andrews.
Thank you very much, Your Worship, and I would also second that amendment that Councillor Taylor has brought forward. And I think if we can also advise staff to consider the secondary schools in our community too as well as part of that. I know that over at Westside Secondary they do have that that crosswalk that has the illumination that helps tremendously. But I know that Orangeville Secondary doesn't have something like that, and I know a variety of young people who've struggled to cross the roads at times and have impeded some traffic, and I think it's a matter of some education too as well, but I certainly will endorse, or at least second, Councillor Taylor's friendly amendment or addition.
Okay, so let's vote on the friendly amendment. All in favor? Okay, and then let's vote on this motion given prior to meeting. I need a seconder on that, so I'm making the motion. So Councillor Taylor, all in favor? Okay, thank you. Are there any notices of motion at meeting? We see none here. Unfinished business? No. Sorry, Councillor Taylor? Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have no notice of motions. I have gotten in touch with the clerk, and I copied yourself on the emails. I just want council to be aware that there will be some things that I brought forward for the next meeting, just regarding some towing is certainly one of them. And I could be wrong, Madam Clerk, about which the date is it'll be on, but I just want people to know that these things are being worked on. They haven't been forgotten, and they are coming up for a local council meeting. It's just difficult right now to get it on the agenda, so.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, again, any new business, councillors? I'm sorry, Councillor Peters.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Two quick items. One for those, I guess, reading along at home in the agenda, those that can digest the package. You'll notice in a number of reports, staff have now begun to relay the Sustainable Neighborhood Action Plan notes, I suppose, or how the various initiatives align with that plan. As you recall, we added that to the acceptance of the SNAP back in June. So I wanted to commend staff for beginning that initiative because I think it shows the public, you know, which initiatives that each of the agenda items relate to. And that's sort of a way to keep track of how we're doing. So that was my first. And then on a related note, speaking of the SNAP, we have a tree planting event this Saturday starting at 9 o'clock in the Blind Line area at the path that goes between Blind Line and Amelia. So we've got a couple dozen people already signed up for that. We would, of course, encourage everybody else to come out. We've got 150 trees to plant. There'll be some coffee and snacks, and it's always a good time, and more trees the better.
Where would you recommend parking? Credit Meadows?
You could park at Credit Meadows or...
that path actually...
Yeah, so you could park on the
Line.
west side of Credit Meadows, or Joel Court is to the east of that path.
Right.
Or if you live close by, just walk
Walk
or
over.
bike. Yep,
Exactly.
hopefully it's a nice day for it.
Great, thank you. Councillor Taylor.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to fill the town of Orangeville in on what happened to me last weekend, and that is I went to Theatre Orangeville's opening night of Down From Up the River. I had a somewhat annoying person sitting right behind me that was kicking my seat. Councillor Post, just kidding, but Orangeville, I've never seen this happen before, but there was applause, not for the actors in the play, but for the set design. So Becky Morris, who is Orangeville's set designer, did just a tremendous job, and I think everybody should go and see this play. It was awfully funny, and we were talking about it the next day, and I'm sure Councillor Post would echo my sentiment, but it was excellent. So kudos to David Nairn and his team for doing that. And then the other piece is this Friday, support your local service clubs, because the Taste of Autumn is this Friday, and I think the majority of council is going to that. So you know, come out and spend and support the local service clubs. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Councillors, anything else? No? We have a motion to adjourn. Councillor, I'm sorry, one more item. We need to have a motion to pass bylaws. I'll just read it. The bylaws listed below be read 3 times and passed. A bylaw to delegate authority to the clerk to act as the head of the municipality for the purposes of the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, and a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Orangeville, its regular and closed council meetings held on October 22nd, 2019. Motion, Councillor Peters, seconded by Councillor Post. All in favor? And now we'll go to a motion to adjourn. Deputy Mayor McIntosh, Councillor Taylor, all in favor? Thank you.